What was the pettiest reason you refused to date someone? About 3 weeks in, I cooked dinner. It was the first time we had eaten dinner quietly at home as a date. His chewing noises drove me up the wall. I knocked out after that. My mom stopped dating a guy because he unfastened and refastened the Velcro on his shoes throughout an entire movie. Had the same first name as my brother and father. Reminded me of my sister. Every single text of her ended with, "I just couldn't do it, man." When I found out that he thought lemons were unripened oranges. Went on a blind date with a guy. Learned, while on that date, his last name was Moist. He was a police officer. Officer Moist. Someone refused to date me after they found out I wasn't a fan of rugby. He tried to say what I was saying. As in at the same time. He started mouthing it and then slowly including more and more voice. I would stop talking and start again. He mimicked the whole time. His hair was prettier than mine. He was awful in a trivia game we were playing. I mean, really bad. Like it was his first day pretending to be a human on Earth and the aliens hadn't briefed him sufficiently. He got a few consecutive bites out of my ice cream on our first date without asking me, and before I even tasted my own ice cream, and didn't even offer his to me. His name was Mark Hunt. They did that thing where they inflect their voice upwards at the end of everything they say as if it were a question. After about 10 minutes talking to them, I was completely done. Because she didn't drink. I am 18 months sober and that really makes me cringe these days. Her nostrils were fucking tiny. WTF. She ate her peas one at a time. Because of his name. His name was Bun. James Bun. One word replies. Literally no effort at all. Felt like I was writing a monology. Her house was disgusting. Old food everywhere and dishes piled up. Ashtrays with cigarettes piled up. Another one had ugly feet. Looked like she was throwing gang signs with her toes. On the first and only date, she chewed her food with her mouth open. It was so distracting I couldn't bear it. She had a nose job done. Which is not a judgment on my part. But her pictures were of pre-nose job and she just looked very different in person. I dumped my first boyfriend for holding my hand. Taking it way too far. I was 15. Obviously the concept of teenage pregnancy completely mystified me. His laugh. It was the weirdest sounding laugh I've ever heard. The first time I heard it I was like, nope. Can't deal with that for the rest of my life. Too many compliments, and because there were so many it just began to feel fake. If someone puts you on that high of a pedestal, the only way is down. He didn't like coffee, reading, or watching movies. 3 of my favorite things. All the words in every text he sent were capitalized. Trust me, it got annoying. On our first and only date he wore his shirt with half the buttons undone, showing off a gold necklace. Every time I took a bite of food he asked me a question, after which he started at me while I finished chewing. The date went on like this for an hour. He had a supernatural sense of poor timing. They didn't say yes when I asked him out. Instant no from me, lol. Was at her place and said we'd order pizza. She literally went to the kitchen and came back saying she put the order in. Didn't ask what toppings I wanted. Any sides. Nothing. I didn't like his shoes. IDK his shoes just bothered me so much I wanted to kick them out of my sight. Excessive emoji use. I thought he was lying about liking me. His tongue was literally down my intestines and it was the worst first kiss that could happen to a human being. He also later disclosed that he had 21 cavities in his teeth. On our way to see a movie for our first date, he accidentally ran over a cat. He was into shitty country music and refused to eat fruit or vegetables. Adult. She said I was better than her ex. He's so full of himself. When he was still courting me, I saw a photo of a girl as his wallpaper, so I asked who she was and he said she's the other girl that he was trying asking out. Lol. She texted me a lot and whenever I took more than roughly 5 to 10 seconds to respond, she would hit me with a wow. Also somewhat unrelated, but she got my Insta hacked, which kinda sucks. Long fingernails. He had long fingernails. Nope. His music taste. I even thought he was the one before I listened to his playlist. Because I asked her first and she told me she didn't like me. Then a few months later she asked me out because she realized she actually liked me. She really liked Disney and going on Disney cruises. I knew it would never work out. The someone thought Twilight is a great book. He would talk over me and try to educate me on nerd stuff that I've known as long as him. Don't be a condescending nerd. She asked me if I was a breakdancer while we were flirting, like it was something she was hoping for. He said he'd do a full health check on any pets I had. I was pretty peeved at the implication that I might not be caring for them. Also, he wasn't a vet. People always assumed we were together because we were both overweight. I just hated that everyone just assumed. That is why I never dated her, even though she really wanted. Same name as my ex. They genuinely liked Kanye West as a person. When he asked me to date him, I was trapped in his house and he set a timer. I had 1 minute to answer him. They didn't like horror movies. I don't need that kind of weakness in my life. A guy on a dating app said he wouldn't date me because I didn't like oysters. He said I look like my brother. Didn't want to be with a guy who might be picturing my brother when we had sex. I was 17 at the time and possibly being irrational. Bold of you to assume I've ever turned down a person showing interest in me. There's not exactly a cue. He didn't know who Spock was, and asked me if Dumbledore was the bearded guy from Lord of the Rings. It was the biggest turn-off ever. She didn't cut her nose hair, even after hinting to her that it was crawling out of her nostrils. Thinking being a bad bitch was cool instead of having the decency to behave like a respectful person. I broke it off with a girl when I found out her favorite movie was The Fast and the Furious. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.